What's up, family? How you doing? I am Yali, and I make content about whatever I want to make content about whenever I feel like making content. How's your day going? Remember to hit that subscribe button down below, hit that like button and all the buttons if you like content about the Bible and having discord and debate discussion on various biblical topics. Always from the quote-unquote Black Hebrew Israelite perspective, of course. Now, we don't go by Black Hebrew Israelite, but we know that you call us that. So, if it helps you understand, we could go by that, I suppose. Topic of discussion today: is the Bible plagiarized from other cultural ideas? Whew! I look good in that camera, boy, doing it. I did a 21-day fast. Skin's looking good, actually. I mean, it looks a lot better than it did before. Some of y'all remember I had the huge black spots underneath of my eyes and my forehead. It's going away, man. All praises to the Most High God of our fathers, which strengthens us. Firstly and most foremostly, in order to understand whether or not the Bible is plagiarized, you have to understand the arguments that the people who purport the idea that the Bible is plagiarized use. You have to get very uncomfortable with some of even your own ideas about what's written in the scripture to begin with. Firstly and most foremostly, let's get into the breakdown. Is the Bible really a cover-up for astrological science? The answer is no. The Bible is not a cover-up for astrological science. 1 second while I hit up Google for a verse that I can't remember at the moment. So we're going to read Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, the 19th verse. I'm going to look over here while I read it because I don't have it memorized. And that's okay. And when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshiping them. The Lord, your God, has appointed to all the nations under heaven. I already know. I'm ahead of the game. I know that you are about to tell me in your mind, mentally, telepathically, this has nothing to do with astrology. This is about the worship of stars. Let's consult Google. Again, I'm going to read this information over here. So I'm going to look over here. It's not spooky. Don't think it's weird for me to read what I'm seeing over here. Yes, astrology has roots in star worship and pagan beliefs. Pagan beliefs. Pagans believed that stars were divinities or controlled by divinities and named planets after gods. For example, Apollo was the god of the sun, Diana was the goddess of the moon, and Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn were also named after gods. So as you can see, astrology, being rooted in the worship of stars, would be forbidden to us who are ethnic Israelites, and therefore not sanctioned by the Most High. And of course, Exodus, the 20th chapter, tells us, do not make any gods before me. So we understand, as we are called not to be like the other nations, we cannot practice astrology. But now we have to tie it back into the topic, and that is very simple. The Bible would not be expressing an astrological history because astrology is forbidden, right? Number 2, Jesus Christ got all his information from the Egyptians, and so did Moses. So this is actually a very interesting topic because obviously Moses got a lot of information from the Egyptians. He was raised in the inner chambers. So to say that he had no information from the Egyptians would be utterly incorrect and dumb to even try to say. The problem with that is that people make this claim and then cannot explain what laws were given to the Israelites that were laws in Egypt. Does that mean that there are no comparisons? No, it does not mean that there are no comparisons. I'm just saying, you're picking up information from people that have no idea what they're talking about. The laws were given to Moses. One of those laws is actually that we are not allowed to take on the practices, spiritually mostly, of other nations to begin with. So making the claim that all of the spiritual doctrine came from Egypt is vastly incorrect. There is almost no comparison between the spiritual doctrine of the Israelites and the Egyptians. In fact, any comparison that you would try to make is mostly legal. The Egyptians had the opening of the mouth ceremony. You don't find that in the Mosaic law. The Egyptians built pyramids. It's literally a law that you cannot put your altars at the top of steps. So I would again ask you, beg of you, tell me where there is a comparison between the Egyptians and the Israelites. And then there is this argument that Jesus Christ was in Egypt as a boy and spent all his younger years learning from the Egyptians, and then came back into Israel and somehow taught everyone what? What was taught by Jesus Christ that the Egyptians would have put their stamp on? First of all, the Egyptians were a very closed-in people. They did not want people coming into Egypt. Now, that might have changed around the Ptolemaic period, which is more than likely who would have been ruling Egypt during Christ's time. That much we can admit. The issue is that there's no proof behind that. Most people who make that claim have read that in the pseudepigrapha books about Jesus Christ's early life. Those books were all written after the 1st century. None of them have been validated, and no one knows who the authors of these books are. In fact, when you read the New Testament involving how long Christ spent in Egypt, it's pretty obvious he did not spend any of his even later childhood years in Egypt. He came back when he was very young. So these claims are baseless. They don't mean anything. Number 3, the Israelites don't even speak their own language. They stole their language from other nations of people, namely the Canaanites. Well, duh, they don't speak their own language. They spent generation after generation after generation living among other groups of people. That's how languages work. They shared and borrowed linguistic customs from other groups. That's normal. Did American descendants of slaves plagiarize the English language? No, it was forced on us, family. That's a dumb argument. Did Africans living in Central Africa plagiarize the French language? No, it was forced on them by the French. That's a stupid argument. Didn't have to spend too much time there. Number 4, I can't get with the Bible because King James wrote it. Come closer. I got you. Come on. Come a little closer. In 2024, you still believe King James wrote the Bible? You still believe that the early Catholics wrote the Bible? This is one of the dumbest arguments anyone could make, because anyone who has studied even a little bit, hold on one second, even a little bit knows King James did not write the Bible. Well, he was black and he was a and he worshiped devils. That doesn't mean he wrote the Bible. King James was responsible for the English, and he literally did it to piss off the Catholics. King James, along with several other groups, were taking up the task of translating the Bible from their original manuscript text. Those texts include the Codex Sinaiticus, the Masoretic text, the Essene Scrolls, and the one that you guys probably know, the Dead Sea Scrolls. But again, I am Yali, and you guys need to hit that subscribe button if you feel like you've learned anything today. If you have any issues with anything I've said, put that in the comments. Hit me up if you'd like to debate the topic. All praises to the Most High God, which strengthens us. And you guys, enjoy your day.